Hi, it's Roger Conrad. I'm Chief Investment Strategist of Portfolio 2020. We're in between earnings seasons right now, and that means there's an information gap, which will pretty much maintain in effect for probably about the next month when we start to see earnings and actual numbers come out. People get a little more comfortable. So that means a lot of, the market abhors a vacuum. When there is a vacuum of information, there tend to be a lot more fear out there, a lot more worries about particularly individual companies. And of course, now we have all the ETFs out there, which really increase the volatility, particularly of the larger stocks that are contained within. So a lot of ups and downs. A lot of people have set their stop losses too close to the price of these things. So we do have things like the flash crash, or even minor additions of that where the market and individual stocks really come down in a big way and then, of course, rebound. So that's the reality we're living in. I think, as an investor, and of course our focus in 2020 is to, buy those things that are tapped into long-term trends that transcend the current market. So we're going to get those returns if we buy and hold, as long as those business plans remain on track. That remains our strategy. So we look for companies that, for buying opportunities, when people are become more skittish about the market. And again, when we have these flash crashes, those are ideal opportunities. Again, provided that we're sure of our numbers, and that remains the case with the majority of or pretty much all of our picks. I mean, the one exception, and I think those of you who've read my portfolio updates know I've written a little bit about it, and that's Ormat Technologies. Major geothermal company. Alternative energy companies have kind of cooled off the last several months. That's partly because of concern that we aren't going to have any carbon regulation bill in Congress, so therefore things might cool off there. Maybe maybe the next Congress will have a little bit less zeal for funding alternative energy. But everything gets kind of lumped in together when you're in these type situations. And if you look at something like Ormat, what attracted us to it in the first place was the fact that it had a very solid franchise that was not dependent on government regulation or federal support. Basically, Ormat's a geothermal company. They actually build their facilities. They operate other facilities. Some of the facilities they built for other companies, and they continue to operate. So they've got really two kind of business lines, both tied around the same thing, which is geothermal output. First quarter earnings were horrific, as I mentioned in there. And this is something we pay a lot of attention to. Pay a lot more attention to this than we would, say, to the daily action, price action in one of these things. And that is, again, bad earnings. And, it did affect the share price. It came off some. It's recovered since then to some extent. But most encouragingly, and the reason that, I want to mention this today is that they have reported some pretty strong progress at the plant that was giving them the most trouble and had created those rotten earnings in the first quarter. So I think we're going to see some nice improvement in the second quarter numbers that come out. I think we'll see progressive improvement going forward. They also have some nice new projects that are shaping up, and I think this is what we'll see helping this. So again, this is one that I did single out before, and I just want to say if anybody owns it, continue to own it. It looks like things are back on the right track again. This will happen from time to time with many of our picks, where we're going to take a hard look. If we get bad numbers, we're going to put it on probation, so to speak. But if they do perform, they come back at us with resolving the problems and the difficulties, and they get back on track, then we'll stick with them. So, and that's the case with, it appears to be the case with Ormat today. So thanks for tuning in. We'll look forward to chatting with you next time.